particles or waves. Wave-particle duality. Light possesses wave nature and particle nature. For wave nature, we can prove light exists as wave because there are reflections, interference, and deflections. All these phenomena shows that wave possesses wave nature. Light also possesses particle nature. In photoelectric effect, it is shown that light exists as particle called photons with energy equal to hf. For electrons, it also possesses particle nature and wave nature. For its particle nature, it can be shown by the deflections of electrons by magnetic fields and electric fields. Since only particles can be deflected by B and E fields. On the other hand, electrons also possess wave natures. By using deflections and interference experiment, it shows that electrons possesses wave nature. De Broglie's wavelength. Let P be the momentum of a body of mass m and velocity v. H be the Planck's constant, 6.63 times 10 to the power negative 34 joule second. Lambda be the wavelength of the body. The de Broglie's wavelength lambda is equal to h over p, or we say equal to h over mv. Let's compare the de Broglie's wavelength of a bullet and an electron. For a bullet of mass 0.01 kg and v equal to 200 meters per second, its de Broglie's wavelength lambda is equal to h over p equal to 6.63 times 10 to the power negative 34 over 0.01 times 200, which is equal to 3.32 times 10 to the power negative 34 meters. For an electron of mass 9.1 times 10 to the power negative 31 kg and speed 10 to the power 6 meters per second, is de Broglie's wavelength lambda 2 equal to 6.63 times 10 to the power negative 34 over 9.1 times 10 to the power negative 31 times 10 to the power 6, which is equal to 7.28 times 10 to the power negative 10 meters. For interference effect, the wavelength should be comparable to the size of atoms, which is about 10 to the power negative 10 meters. Since the wavelength, or we say since the de Broglie's wavelength of the electrons is the order 10 to the power negative 10, which is comparable to the size of the atoms. Therefore, for a fast-moving electrons, it shows interference effect. However, for a moving bullet, the wavelength is the order of 10 to the power negative 34 meters, which is extremely small. Therefore, interfering effects cannot be shown. What is an electron gun? An electron gun is a tool to increase the speed of electrons when emitting from the hot filament by using a high voltage. Let V be the anode voltage, or we say the accelerating voltage. M be the mass of an electron, E electronic charge. U and V are the initial and final speeds of accelerated electrons. When accelerating from the cathode to anode, the electrons experience loss in electrostatics potential energy and gain in kinetic energy. Mathematically, we have the loss in electrostatic potential energy is EV equal to the gain in KE half m V square minus U square. Note that in an electron gun, the final speed of electron is much larger than the initial speed. That is, V is much larger than U. Therefore, the final kinetic energy of the electrons is approximately equal to half mv squared. Hence, we have EV equal to half mv squared. The kinetic energy of the electrons is proportional to the anode voltage V. What is the relationship between the Boris wavelength and anode accelerating voltage? Since EV equal to half mv squared, we have mv equal to square root 2 meV. The Boris wavelength of the electrons equal to h over p equal to h over mv equal to h over root 2 me voltage V. Notice that the Boris wavelength of the electrons is proportional to 1 over square root of the anode voltage V. Example 3, Part A. Since EV equal to half mv squared, we have speed of the electron equal to square root of 2eV over m. By substituting E equal to 1.6 times 10 to the power negative 19, V equal to 2 times 10 to the power 4. Mass of electron is 9.1 times 10 to the power negative 31 kg. Therefore, the speed of the electron when reaching the anode is equal to V equal to 4.2 times 10 to the power 7 meter per second. Part B. The Boris wavelength of the electron becomes h over p equal to 6.63 times 10 to the power negative 34 over 9.1 times 10 to the power negative 31 times 4.2 times 10 to the power 7, which is equal to 1.73 times 10 to the power negative 11 meter. Example 3. By Bohr's postulates, it says that the angular momentum mvr of the electrons equal to an integral multiple of h over 2 pi, where n is 1, 2, 3, etc. From formula of the Boris wavelength, we have lambda equal to h over p equal to h over mv. From equation 1, we have mv equal to nh over 2 pi r. Substituting mv into equation 2, therefore we got wavelength or the Boris wavelength of the electron equal to h over nh over 2 pi r. Therefore, 2 pi r equal to n lambda, which shows that the circumference of the orbit 2 pi r is an integral multiple of the Boris wavelength lambda.